What's happening, man, Johnny? So, check this out. I got this topic that's been bothering me for a couple of days, not in a negative way, but enough to inspire me to actively talk about it in a way that I kind of feel resistance to talking about it as I would really like to. It's the idea, of course, it has to do with the law of attraction, because this has been such a prevalent thing I've been playing with and experiencing. And as anyone who's experienced this knows, the more you manifest things, the more this becomes a reality, and the more you experience its authenticity, the more you want to share it with people, especially the ones you love, right? The ones you're closest to, the ones you can see really benefiting from this. Of course, that's my perspective, but who in their right mind wouldn't appreciate getting more of what they want? You know, and I say in the right mind because I believe there are some individuals that are so accustomed to, either in a passive-aggressive way, creating situations for themselves which cause them demise and negativity and misery and loss. They, in order to gain attention or sympathy from other people, which ultimately makes them feel good. I believe those people are out there. So that's why I say people in their right mind. I'm addressing the people who actually in a healthy way want to make a change in their life. And I guess to some people who in a passive-aggressive way would like to make change in their life, I'm addressing those people too. But for the most part, I'm addressing people who have a real resistance to believing that this actually is true, that the law of attraction actually works, that there's a system and a practice and different practices and methods which are pretty distinct and pretty well known and fairly talked about in the community of law of attraction and those kind of developmental techniques that you can follow, no different than following a recipe to bake a cake. If you can bake a cake every single day and follow the recipe every single day, you can follow the technique for manifesting through law of attraction every single day. And if you do this, there is no possible way that it cannot work for you. And if people just for once, in a real way, grasp that last line, that if you follow the methods for manifestation based on the law of attraction, there's no possible way it will not work for you. If people really understood and embraced that, I don't think anyone would not use it. Now, here's where we get lost, is that people do follow this and they don't get their manifestation. Well, then they haven't done the research to understand why they're not getting their manifestation, or they're going about it in the wrong way, or they're doing all the motions the right way, but in the wrong context. Context is huge. This is why thoughts are so important in the law of attraction, because thoughts and perception are the interlocking pieces. Let's just call it the glue, if you will, that seams all of the action and the desire or manifestation or thought energy together. This is something I wish I could talk more openly about, but I pause when I try to pull the different examples that I've experienced together into one story, because they take time to manifest. In other words, you set an intention, and in many ways you forget about it, but you still hold the intention and you look for the opportunities that are like little roadmaps to that original intention, and you follow them. Sometimes you miss them, but there's always the subconscious working to open up another venue to that original intention. This is why it's important when you write something down to manifest, when you write something that you would like to see in your life, and you act as if you have it by writing it down, you actually have it in front of you in written form. So now it's not just a thought, but it's actually now manifested one step closer to reality. The words that describe it are on paper. Okay? Then you can get a picture of what you want if it's a material object. Now, the actual imagery in your mind has been written into the piece of paper what it is. Now you see an actual picture of it. I guarantee you that if that happens, you're eventually going to see it somewhere in reality, in the real three-dimensional reality that we operate in, the world, if you will. or you'll have an opportunity to see it, or it'll pop up in TV or another magazine, or something you're watching, or something that someone's talking about, or a Facebook ad, or some social media pop-up. It'll just come to you, and you won't have any control over where it's coming to you from, but you will see it. You'll start to notice it. It's no different than when someone says, look for the color red. You know, the old game. You look for the color red, you don't see it anywhere. Now they say, close your eyes. Now think of something brown, not red. And you open your eyes, and all you see is red shit everywhere. It's no different, because you set your intention on something, and you start to see it everywhere. You know? If you're not seeing it everywhere, then it was a fleeting thought. Your intention's not there. Or the context of the intention wasn't there. So this is what I mean by it's frustrating in a way for people just to dismiss this as some woo-woo thing that doesn't really happen, or is not real, or it's all coincidental. I encourage you to play with this. Another note on playing with the law of attraction. A lot of people and a lot of teachers of the law of attraction, I've noticed, they always talk about money. They always talk about money. And to a non-believer, or as I used to be, kind of a skeptic, but well, let's just call it interested but slightly skeptic in this, because more or less I didn't understand it than discredit it. But I used to think they were only talking about money because money is such a thing that people desire, that if someone was trying to sell a program on the law of attraction, to talk about money is a great hook to get people interested and to buy it. But I've noticed through a lot of the real teachers of this that they offer up processes and guidance tips and guidance techniques for free. And their monetary gain doesn't come from necessarily selling products, which some of them do, but more or less it comes from all the attention and all the traffic they generate through these free giveaways and the subscriptions they have to advertising companies like Google Ads or other things, people that want to advertise on their page or through their medium. So they're not actually gaining or selling something directly to promote the law of attraction. They're just sharing their knowledge, wanting to get as many people as they can to recognize and realize that this is a true power that we all have. It's a gift of God. It's one of our greatest gifts, is to have free will. And that's what this is. Manifestation is quite literally the reality of having free will. So something I want to talk about real quick also is that most people, when they hear about money, they get, oh, they're just trying to make money. And it kind of further distances the reality or the truth or the belief that this thing actually works, that this is actually a tool that we are able to use. And believe it or not, we're using it all the time. By not believing it, you're still using it. Just want to wake you up on that fact. By not believing the law of attraction, you are using the law of attraction and missing out on it. So you might as well start believing in it, because you're using it anyway. That's a big one. Think about that for a minute. When people try to use the law of attraction in a relationship scenario, I think this is more difficult, because a relationship involves two people that have free will each on their own merit. So if you have two people that genuinely have an intense desire for the same thing, it's more likely that if they both use the law of attraction in the right context to come together and have a common goal, even if that is the relationship itself, it's more likely to happen. But what I find more often is that really, even if two people are in love with each other, they have the same goals for their children, the same desires, they don't perceive the world in quite the same way. Just because of different personality traits, different character traits, different kind of like a different moral compass, kind of where they grew up, and they might have different priorities in their life at the time. And especially men and women, we're both kind of hardwired to want different things. Ultimately, we want, the quintessential happy, convenient life with a little bit of adventure, some stability, and some peace of mind. I mean, those are general things that people want. But how to go about that? Hey, this guy wants to have a house on the beach when he retires. The wife wants a house in the mountains, or vice versa. And so those are the kind of differences I'm talking about. So how would one bridge that with another person? Well, that's kind of a dynamic task to do that when you're with another person, because you both have separate intentions and separate belief structures. This is why when people are experimenting with the law of attraction, I personally do not advise, and a lot of other teachers do too, not to practice when it involves somebody else or something that actually has a conscious choice, because consciousness is what connects us to God, connects us to our Creator, connects us to that reality, that omnipotent source of intelligence. This is why I think a lot of people use money when they try to teach law of attraction, because money itself is an idea. It's an idea of trading value for time and value for things. It's a way to measure what we consider to be valuable, whether that's time, money, health, whatever it is. But money itself has no consciousness. We give it the power, and it only has power that we give it. So being that money is essentially an inanimate object with no consciousness, it is easy to manipulate and use the law of attraction to find it. It would be no different than wanting a car, or wanting a certain house, or wanting a certain item of clothing, or a woman may want a certain purse or handbag or watch or jewelry. But an inanimate object is a great way to practice with the law of attraction. For one, the smaller you start out, regardless of how close you think you are to already obtaining this or as far from obtaining it, when you set your intention on an inanimate object and use the law of attraction to bring it to you, what this actually does is it increases your belief, and it also hones your skills of the process. And so if you see the process actually work for you, it's going to increase your belief in it as well as your practice. And these are things you can do to manipulate and hone the skill of manifestation in your life. And then you can work on other things. Something that I particularly started on was a monetary practice. And it was small at first. And believe it or not, I set my intentions high just because I wanted to. It's not that I didn't believe it. I was like, okay, so this should, if it works like this, and it has almost every single time, it should work like this. And I'll be damned if it didn't work. And it was a significant difference. So much so that it was on the borderline of me not believing it would happen. But the faith was still there. It was doable. It was possible. It was within my spectrum. It was something that could happen. It wasn't an unforeseeable amount like, I want $1 billion. It wasn't like that. It was something that was a little bit more, if you will, I don't want to call it closer to reality, but it was something within my vortex. It wasn't out of my mission or out of my current energy state, if you will. I honestly believe that the law of attraction takes longer for greater things, especially in relationships, because I think a lot of people aren't ready for those manifestations. And your subconscious knows this, and so does the collective energy or God or your Creator. So when this happens, it's not that you can't get what you want to manifest. It's that you're not prepared to receive it. And the subconscious knows this and will create resistance or distance between you actually setting the intention and actually getting the manifestation. So if it's taking a long time, be grateful for that time, because what's really happening is your subconscious, as well as God, the universe, whatever you want to put onto it as a label, but your Creator, if you will, the holder of the key to everything in creation, is preparing you, and so is that piece of that Creator within you, is preparing you to receive that manifestation. You can see this happen a lot of times in lottery winners when they win the lotto, but they haven't been prepared. They haven't manifested the right way. They've hacked it. They've essentially taken a shortcut to getting it, so the results are short. A person who puts long, hard work in, when they get that, the results last a long time. It's no different. You reap what you sow. These are principles in every culture that have been spoken about. Anyway, I hope this video helps out. Thumbs up if so. Constructive criticism is always welcome, so thumb it down if you don't think it helped. Also, the more I interact and the more I see watching, the more I put out there. So, hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, and Johnny out. Have a great day.